Supergirl and Superman, The Rise of the Dark Sun. In the heart of Metropolis, a seemingly routine day was about to turn into a nightmare. Clark Kent, also known as Superman, was patrolling the skies when his super hearing caught a whisper, a name that hadn't been spoken in centuries. Rao. The name sent a shiver down his spine. In Kryptonian history, Rao wasn't just their son. It was also a myth, a godlike entity believed to bring about either salvation or destruction. Before Clark could investigate further, he was interrupted by a massive explosion downtown. He darted toward the scene, expecting to see another one of Lex Luthor's failed schemes. But what he encountered was far worse. An enormous spacecraft had landed in the middle of the city, its dark metallic surface shimmering like black glass. It radiated a strange energy that warped the air around it. Superman was met by a familiar voice in his earpiece, Kara Danvers, known to the world as Supergirl. "Clark, I'm picking up strange signals from across the city. It's not just Metropolis. It's happening worldwide," she said, her voice tinged with concern. "Meet me at the landing site," he replied. Supergirl arrived within seconds, landing beside her cousin as they stared at the colossal ship. Suddenly, a booming voice echoed from the ship, filling the air with its terrifying presence. "I am Zor-Kaan, High Priest of the Dark Sun. Your world will be consumed by the might of the true Rao." Out of the ship emerged Zor-Kaan, a figure draped in dark Kryptonian robes. His eyes glowed with an unnatural red light, and behind him were dozens of followers, Kryptonian zealots who had somehow survived the destruction of Krypton. They had been exiled to a hidden part of the universe, living in isolation for centuries, waiting for their chance to return. But these were not the peaceful Kryptonians that Clark and Kara knew. They were warriors trained in the old ways of conquest. Zor-Kaan raised his hand, and the sky darkened. The sun, their sun, was changing, growing dimmer by the second. The world was plunged into an unnatural twilight. "Clark, the sun. It's turning red," Kara exclaimed, her voice filled with panic. Superman knew the implications immediately. A red sun stripped them of their powers. And it wasn't just a natural occurrence. Zor-Kaan was harnessing ancient Kryptonian technology to manipulate Earth's sun, transforming it into a red giant, the same kind that orbited Krypton. "Without the yellow sun, we're powerless," Superman muttered. But Supergirl wasn't ready to give up. "We've faced worse before, Kel. We're not just Kryptonians. We're protectors of this planet." Together, they charged at Zor-Kaan, knowing their powers were fading with each passing second. The battle was brutal. Even as their strength diminished, Superman and Supergirl fought with everything they had, using their combat training and sheer willpower to hold their own against the Dark Sun followers. But it wasn't enough. With a wave of his hand, Zor-Kaan sent them crashing to the ground. Superman's chest heaved as he struggled to stand, blood trickling from his mouth. Supergirl was beside him, her strength almost completely drained. "You are relics of a failed world," Zor-Kaan sneered. "We are the true inheritors of Krypton's legacy. With the red sun, this world will kneel before us." But Kara wasn't done yet. With what little power remained in her, she tapped into the deep reserves of her Kryptonian heritage. She recalled the lessons from her parents, their teachings on Kryptonian technology. If Zor-Kaan could manipulate the sun, so could she. "Kara, no," Superman groaned as she rose to her feet. "I have to, Cal," she whispered, her voice weak but resolute. Supergirl took off into the sky, higher and higher, flying toward Zor-Kaan's ship. Her plan was risky, maybe even suicidal. She had spotted the energy core on the ship's underbelly, the device that was manipulating the sun. As she reached it, she placed her hands on the scorching surface and channeled every bit of energy she had left, reversing the flow. Her body was searing with pain, but she held on, gritting her teeth. Zor-Kaan screamed in fury as his control over the sun faltered. The sky began to shift back, the red hue fading as Earth's natural yellow sun was restored. Power surged back into Superman, and he rose from the ground, his eyes blazing with renewed strength. In an instant, He flew at Zor-Kaan with a speed that defied sight, delivering a punch that shattered the High Priest's armor and sent him crashing into the ship. As the remaining zealots tried to flee, Superman moved with blinding speed, disabling their weapons and disarming their forces. The battle was over. But Superman wasn't concerned with Zor-Kaan now. He was searching the skies for Kara. He found her plummeting from the ship, unconscious and burned from her heroic act. Superman caught her just before she hit the ground, cradling her in his arms. Her breathing was shallow, her body limp. "Kara? No, please, stay with me," he whispered, fear and desperation flooding his voice. For what seemed like an eternity, Superman hovered there, holding his cousin, until finally Kara stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, a weak smile crossing her face. "I told you, we're protectors," she whispered. Superman smiled through tears. "You saved us all, Kara. You saved the world." As the authorities took Zor-Kaan and his followers into custody, Superman and Supergirl stood together, looking out at the recovering city. The sun shone brightly once more, filling them with its warm, golden light. "We've faced many enemies before, but this was different," Superman said quietly. "Yeah," Kara nodded. "But no matter what comes next, Kal will always fight for this world. Together." The bond between them was stronger than ever, forged in the heat of battle and tempered by their shared love for Earth. And as long as the sun continued to shine, Superman and Supergirl would always be there, protecting the people they loved. For they were not just heroes, they were family, and that was their greatest strength. Thanks for watching. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Widescope for more diverse content. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos. Also, please suggest ways I can create better quality videos so that I can provide you with even better content in the future.